Peace. This is the Enemy's Public. I am Bro.Nasir. Want to have a discussion this evening about America's schools and what it do to our children. America's schools, as far as I'm concerned, when it deals with our children, are the killing fields. And when they're not miseducating our children, they are mistreating our children. And that's something that I want to talk about this evening with any other brothers and sisters who want to speak about this situation. Now, give me 1 second. I want to put the link in the chat. Now, America's schools are very detrimental to our children. And if you can homeschool your child, please do so. Because if you are not promoting your culture while educating your child is not properly being educated. Now, our history best rewards us in our research. To teach our children about everyone else and not themselves does not promote esteem. We need self-esteem as a collective, as a people. We need to go after the school boards who set the curriculum that miseducates our children. Our children are taught a kumbaya doctrine in the schools, while white children are taught something totally different at home. We have to understand that white supremacy is a team sport, a codified sport. White liberals, they wink at us and stab us in the back just as fast as we wink back at them, those of us who behave like that. And teachers, Negroes who are willing to be used as tools of white supremacies and their agendas, they need to know that our enemies, they break their tools after they are done using them. And what they teach our children do not make them grow up to be productive brothers and sisters. And what they do is indoctrinate our children. Now, we must understand the inside of us is our light. You mean with our behavior, our spirit, our knowledge, we give light. And our darkness with our melanin is outside of us. With our enemy, it's the total opposite. They're light outside with their skin color, and they're the darkest people in spirit and behavior on the planet. If you name anything that they will put us or anyone else in prison for today, they did to establish America and its school system. Again, America's schools make our children soft targets. And if you can educate your child without sending them to America's schools, you should do so. Now, any of the brothers who wants to come up and have this discussion, you're welcome. The link is right there. Just click on the link and come and have this discussion. And meanwhile, I'll be giving my take on America's schools. Now, I've seen several examples on how they treat our children in school. Now, just imagine our children are learning about everyone else and not learning about themselves. Excuse me, I'm getting notifications. Yet when they learn about themselves, they're learning about capitulating Negroes who misrepresent us and represent us as cowards. And they give us the same old saying when it comes to who stand on our behalf. And most of the time, they are the one who pick who stand on our behalf, calling them our leaders. And then in the minds of our children, that's who they, aspire to be. Again, I'm going to keep saying this because America's schools is the killing fields to our children, and it also make our children soft targets with how they're treated in the schools. Anytime one of our children as a student is not behaving according to how they're supposed to behave in school, it's not a police issue, but they call the police on our children. And most of the time, it's a hothead white man who comes and he has zero patience when it comes to our children. And anytime a student is misbehaving and the police officer handle that child violently. Now, if you're a father or a grandfather like I am, I'm both, and my child refused to give up her cell phone, and the teacher called, instead of calling the guidance counselor or the dean and vice principal who handles discipline for students. And if the child further doesn't want to behave, you inconvenience the parent and call the parent and have the parent, when the parent has to leave work and come and deal with their child, you know what's going to happen when that child gets home. I know as far as I'm concerned, what's going to happen if I got to leave work and go deal with my child because my child's not behaving in school. But it doesn't happen like that today. The police would grab our child and body slam my child out of their desk. They would take an 8-year-old and 11-year-old, and they would, instead of understanding and trying to figure out why the child is so angry and why the child is not behaving in school, the police have zero patience and don't even want to deal with the child. Now, a lazy cop is dangerous, and he's not going to have patience with a child. And he's going to get violent with the child. I've seen it happen a lot of times. And I've seen little girls and little boys get body slammed. I mean, I'm talking like 12-year-olds, 10-year-olds. And the administration causes this. Yet, we are the ones who send our children to these schools. A teacher, in its official capacity, if they have compassion, if they really care about the student, they teach the student, and the student give what they give to the student gives to the world. And if that student's not learning anything except indoctrination of low self-esteem, well, low esteem, self-esteem comes from yourself, which is why we should teach our children ourselves to give them self-esteem. That's why it's called self-esteem, because it comes from self. But that's not taught in schools. Nothing is taught in these schools that would give our children any type of esteem. Now, what they're doing today in these schools, as far as indoctrination, I don't understand how any parent would tolerate it. It's not new. It's just escalated. This escalated homosexual agenda, same-sex agenda, is being socialized into our children's heads. And they're indoctrinating our children, and they're not even asking the parents' permission to have their children attend such events, seminars, wherever they have in the schools. I know in high schools, they're having actual seminars speaking about this. But when you have transvestites, drag queens, whatever you want to call them, come and read to little children stories, and then publishers are writing books that's required reading in our schools, with their schools. They're not our schools, because we don't control the curriculum, which we should control the curriculum, but we don't control the curriculum. One second. We don't control the curriculum. So we can't determine what our children learn. Now, The United States Board of Education curriculum can teach our children sexualization to sexualize our children at pre-K age to 5th grade, which is too young to teach a child about sex. But they don't want to teach our children about themselves. They're going to teach them body parts, which is the responsibility of the parent. If it's a little boy in the home, his father can teach him. If it's a little girl in the home, the mother can teach them about what they are as a sex. And they learn as they go. But when they go to school and we have a teacher trying to sexualize our children and then trying to push an agenda on our children, that's when we should have a problem with that, and we should be at the Board of Education, not the school. We should go straight past the school to the Board of Education and have a problem with that. As taxpayers, we're supposed to have a voice when it comes to our children. But some people, they just wave the white flag and they just give up. And they allow their children to be in the hands of, in my honest opinion, predators. These people are predators because it's a grooming process when you start talking about sex with a little child. And not only that, if a child develops trust for an adult, that's not to be taken lightly, and a child should be able to trust you. But when you start talking about things that the parents not even talking to them yet, you are out of bounds. You're out of place for that. You're not supposed to talk about something that the child hasn't talked to their parents about first. That's why the permission slip is supposed to come home, and the parents should give the child permission or don't give them permission. But they don't even care. They're telling the students that they don't have to tell their parents. This is what they're doing in the schools. Telling little girls, talking to them about sex, and if they get in trouble, as far as like getting pregnant, they can go have an abortion without the parents even knowing. Or these vaccines that they're putting out and that they put out, the student administrator teacher relationship is so secret that the child can take a vaccine without the parent knowing and don't have to get the parents' permission at a young age. Yet if the child get in trouble, they want to blame the parent, but they're keeping secrets from the parent through their child. If anyone don't have a problem with that, something is wrong with our thinking. We all should have a problem with that. And what needs to happen is we need to deal with the school boards across America. Because again, our children are soft targets. Why they're soft targets, what make them soft targets, they don't know. And they can't fight back when they're victims. When they fall a victim, they can't fight back. They're not even safe in the schools when children as young as a 5-year-old kindergartner, white teachers are mistreating them. White women should not be teaching black boys because the young brother, he moves too fast, he thinks too fast, and they like to classify our young boys in particular with being hyperactive, classify them as attention deficit, and then they want to drug them because the teachers are too lazy to teach. The teachers are too lazy to educate the children. So they want to slow the child down and have them walking around like a zombie instead of having compassion and understanding that this child is a child, for one, and then giving the child whatever they have to offer in education. But that's not the case when it comes to our children. They'll say our little boys are hyperactive. They'll say they're too much to deal with. And then that's where the school to prison pipeline falls in. It would have our child a stigma on our male children all the way until they're 18 years old. And they're classified all their lives. So the first thing they do, the teachers would say they knew it because of the past, which they classified them, and as my brother Big Dog Philly would say, reclassified them. And the young brother is considered a troubled child when the teacher is just lazy. But that's a problem. That's ours because we send our children to these schools. We need to pull them out, and we need to stop being lazy and teach our own children. Or if we can hire a qualified Black teacher who don't have a European mind to teach our children. That's the problem with Black teachers. They have European minds. And they're there to get a paycheck, and they need to set a better curriculum for our children, a curriculum that's going to have they're going to make our children know who they are. When our children are learning that TV reality, that's not a reality. Their counterparts in their school, other students of different ethnicities are learning about themselves. And we're the last to learn about ourselves. They'd rather teach us sexuality. I have a problem with that. That shouldn't be in schools until not a child in a child's curriculum until that child is their mentality can handle it. And when some of us say that they're coming for our children, people are offended. The worst thing you can do is put your children's hand, or put your children in the hands of a predator. And a lot of times we trust people around our children, and we shouldn't trust people around our children. Now, a child is trusted in the hands of a teacher for the duration of their school day. And if the child don't have the students or our children's best interests at heart, the child's not going to learn anything. The child's going to be abused. So that's something we need to consider. Now, I'm going to take a music break. Anybody want to hit the link and come through, feel free.
In this particular society who wants to see us exactly where we are. We cannot let that point elude us. These are the facts. How do we know? 1967, Kerner Commission report on urban disorder. When black people said, yo, we're tired of this sisters, we said, yo, we had enough. Vote motivating them was a high self-esteem and an enhanced racial pride. This is a public announcement and open letter to who the fuck it may concern. It could be you or your boys or either. Some psychotic feminist bitches in front of the Vatican's fences, stripping, fucking themselves with crucifixes. Sickness is apparently now the way of the world. Alistair Crowley's ghost beat, mostly young. Killed, do as thou will, this shall be the whole of the law. Chill, pop if you kill, so quitting pops, or rape if you broads. Hey, I'm just saying, more decay and corporate control, making the prophecy unfold. As told, all the glitter that ain't gold has been sold and bought. A few souls it costs. For Jesus to walk with me. But then when she go to Beyonce, they go from church to church. Men making holes of earth. You can sell your soul of flesh so long as you do it fresh. Just forget it, these niggas don't get it. MC trouble me, and he spit it, gon' get it. What you niggas gon' see? Shit, they done get it. Might as well just forget it. These niggas don't get it. MC trouble me, and he spit it, gon' get it. Oh, you niggas gon' see. I got the gift, I'm gon' give it. I'm a G.O.D. Oh shit, they done get it. Whoever the nigga that said hip-hop culture was dead needs to be speaking for me like he need a hole in his head. Maybe a hole in his head can separate this godson from his Holy Ghost. Prostitutes for profits, putting profits over profits.
What happened?
Niggas stop it. It might be psychologic how these white bitches be problems for these so-called conscious rhymers who defend them when they violate. Give them passes to be irate. Culture banned us up in my space. Understand me clear when I say, bitch, you won't be licking my face. And you won't be saying nigga like it's okay on your Twitter. Certain shit y'all don't consider when you pop that molly with it. This is the bitch you yell rape in an attempt to save face. When gentlemen from her race find out she done fuck some nigga. Yep, she say it was a nigga. When her brother's uncle daddy rape and violate her badly. When her worried mother asked historically, she ain't admitted. She just said some nigga did it. Bonneville, just forget it. These niggas don't get it. MC trouble me, and he spit it, gon' get it. Oh, you niggas gon' see. I got the gift, I'm gon' give it. I'm a G.O.D. Oh shit, they done get it. Might as well just forget it. These niggas don't get it. MC trouble me, and he spit it, gon' get it. Oh, you niggas gon' see. I got the gift, I'm gon' give it. I'm a G.O.D. Oh shit, they done get it. It's about time I conclude the matter, defuse the data when we use the matter. Black lives attacked by the empire of rappers. Exclude the chapter that explains the process of how this occurred. Major labels deny them finance for my stance. So why chance the one chance you might have to prosper or get to a peep at the Oscar for something that's common sense? Heads up, cause I'm dropping some shit. But they know I've been dropping conscious shit ever since. Before when CNN took interest in protest, when no less than top 10 were options for confidence and conscious rap content. When concepts was sponsored by men with a conscience for stopping the violence. When you see PRT Ice Cube, BDP, the X Clan, Too Short, same stage, same tour, FCC. Michael Powell gave power to the channel for consolidation of radio stations across our nation into one corporation, plus the 50 corporations, record labels, newspapers, film production companies, TV book publishing, every major magazine, People Harper's Weekly Time were condensed into 5. Disney Warner, Viacom, News Corp, Bertelsmann Smith, in the hands of 5 men. Rupert Murdoch, Richard Parsons, some know some the Red Stone, couple Cousins, Michael Eisner, Joan and Ronald Moon. Now their views are infused in the mainstream news. Their beliefs are deployed. You're convinced that they're yours. They'll just forget it. These niggas don't get it. MC trouble me, and he spit it, gon' get it. Oh, you niggas gon' see, I got the gift, I'm gon' give it. I'm a G.O.D. Oh shit, they done did it. Might as well just forget it. These niggas don't get it. MC trouble me, and he spit it, gon' get it. Oh, you niggas gon' see, I got the gift, I'm gon' give it. I'm a G.O.D. Oh shit, they done did it. 92, the racial pride was back in effect. We were spending our money to go see Farrakhan speak as opposed to going to a strip club. This is where we were. We were towards positive attitudes and lifestyles.
Peace, big dog. How you doing, brother?
I'm good. Grand Rising, my brother. Much love, much respect to you and the family. Much love and respect to everybody in the chat, man.
Love and
Appreciate what you're
respect.
doing, my
Honor and
brother.
respect. I'm just, it's just frustrated every other day you hear about them coming for our children and one of our children being abused in one of these schools. And the approach the parents have after that is just sickening to me. There's no way I'm going to be a grandfather and one of my grandchildren, because my children they're adults, but there's no way as a grandfather that one of my children being abused by a teacher or by a resource officer. Just imagine you got your little girl is in school and someone who's supposed to protect her is being slammed on. You're slamming her on the floor and putting her hands behind her back, saying she's resisting as a 11-year-old. She's resisting arrest, and then right in the report that she's stronger than I am, and this and that. Well, you don't belong having a job like that. And if you're not patient as a teacher, you shouldn't have that job. If you're not patient as a teacher.
Yes, sir. And when we tell our people about how they haven't updated the books and the school system and all the new things they doing, they act like they don't hear them. Like they haven't updated the school book since I was born, 1965.
Exactly. Now, McGraw-Hill is trying to get themselves off the hook with certain narratives, but they haven't upgraded as far as especially history. They haven't upgraded nothing because they refuse to teach our children the correct history. They want our children to think that we were slaves and the civil rights movement, and that's it. They want us to believe that they freed us instead of us freeing ourselves. They want us to believe that all we were slaves. And that's not good for the esteem of a child, to teach a child that. It kills our children's mind. It makes our children walking around feeling inferior when they're the future kings and queens. But when you tell our children, when you tell our people that, our people think that we're just blowing smoke. The phone is getting on my nerves.
Yeah, and good brother, that was one of the reasons I moved from Philly to Georgia, because I thought, I wanted my daughter in a better school system. But after me and my wife talked about it, And I basically put my foot down. It ain't gonna happen. Even in the country, where I'm at, it's even worse because they got, I mean, everywhere is predators.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I mean? And I just said, hell to the no. I could show you, the books that, me and my daughter bought my daughter, she 5, and I think she at like a third grade level already. She can read very well and write very well.
yeah. But they tend to try to slow our children down with the learning.
Exactly.
They want to slow our children down. They don't want, our children to live up to the best potential.
And then I had to take a look at like where I moved is where all the school shootings be at in the counties, in the country.
Yeah.
It ain't too many school shootings in the cities.
Not,
'Cause-
the school shootings happen where we think is a safe haven for our children. That's where the school shootings happen at.
Exactly.
School shootings in the hood. We don't do that.
Because they make sure they got metal detectors on every door. They make sure our
Exactly.
kids are not armed
Exactly. That's
coming
one of
into
the
their
reasons.
school.
That's one of the reasons why. Because because they don't want our communities armed altogether. Because a lot of our children's parents don't have guns because they're not allowed to have them. There's no gun in the house to steal and bring to school to shoot. Because oftentimes it's a white child who stole their parents' gun, or in the case of that one of the shootings that happened this year, I think his name was Ethan too. His name was Ethan something. Ethan Crumbly, that's his name. His parents bought him the gun at age 16, and he went and shot the school up. So when we think we're trying to take our children out of the school where our people are at, and we think we're keeping them safe, we're not. What we need is teachers that don't have white folks' minds. It's going to teach our children who they are. I mean, I had a teacher when I was coming up. He used to try to give us what we're learning today. But we was knuckleheads back then. But I think back to this brother, and I'm like, damn, he was trying to give me what I'm eager to learn today. He was trying to give it to me way back when I was in like the 7th grade. And when he left the district, he wrote a big, gigantic report in a newspaper about how they're miseducating our children. His name was Eugene Braggs. He was from New York, but he came to teach in my city. And when he left the district, because he was so disgruntled with what they was teaching us, that he did a whole full report on how bad our schools were on the level, on the 7th and 8th grade level. Because when I was in elementary school, I had a lot of black teachers, and you was going to get that lesson, or you'll get home 4:30, 5 o'clock, and your parents want to know why you home 4:30, 5 o'clock, because you had detention, because you was acting up during class. You're going to stay and do the work after everybody leaves. I had teachers like that, but it's different. They taught us according to the knowledge that they have. Not saying that the education was good, but they tried to teach you. Remember, when we was coming up, we only had Black History Week. And that was watered down. That week was watered down. They was teaching us about somebody who was just, same old same, Martin Luther King. Back then, that's all it was. They didn't teach us about Malcolm X. It was Martin Luther King. What's his name? The first one to die in the war. That dude, whoever that dude was, taught us about them. And then he taught us that the heroes were white men. See, this new thing about sexualization, that was taboo when we was coming up. Teach no fourth grader about no sex. Not when I was coming up. Nah, I didn't hear that till I was probably like in seventh grade. Health education, health. When they start teaching us health, you had a quarter of physical education. Then you had a quarter of health. That's how they did it. They rotated it, but it was never like how they're doing it today, trying to sexualize a child and then having books saying called The Two Dads and The Two Moms. They're putting that in our children's head. The Two Dads. And they got a book called Calvin about a 4-year-old transgender. A 4-year-old transgender. And about his first day of school dressed as a boy. And it's required reading pre-K to 5th grade. That's what they're teaching our children. And then they're having drag queens come and read to our children in the classroom. Now, that's not a safe environment as far as I'm concerned. First, they're talking about sex to a little child, and then having, in all actuality, to me, my sentiment is they're predators. When I see a drag queen or whatever you call it, transvestite, that's a predator. And I would not want my child being alone with somebody like that. But a lot of us give into that. A lot of us has given in to this new way of teaching. Now, there's solutions. And, basically the really only solution is either we take over the board of education or we just pull our children out. I don't know. What do you think, brother? Do we take over or should we do both? OG?
Yeah, I'm here, my brother. I think we ought to do both for the people that's forced to keep their kids in the school system, and then for people like me that refuse to put my daughter in their school system. I would support their movement.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Because if not, the future is dire, brother. The future is going to be crazy. Because the schools are more and more violent with who's, in charge of our children. Now, just imagine, you don't have sons, do you, brother?
No, sir.
Just imagine your 5-year-old son, he goes to the bathroom. He don't know anything about plumbing. Our children, children will pack the toilet with tissue when they're young. They don't know. Just imagine your child that young, 5 years old, and the teacher make him reach in with his bare hand and pull the excrement out of the toilet with his bare hands because she mad because he stopped the toilet up. I heard about things like this. And they wouldn't do that to their own child. And how we react, I have a problem with. I have a problem with us forgiving when someone's not even sorry for what they did. And they're not sorry for what they did because something that disgusting, you were trying to demean the child.
And brother, I'm gonna say this. I know like several teachers in Philadelphia, and they are people, man. They in so much denial. You know what I mean? So much denial. Half of them was forced, to take that jab and to continuously take that. So I don't want mine. Like I said, I don't want mine around there because, like you said earlier, they could trick our children into getting that also. Like I said, we need to, like you said, brother, we need to protest them, take them out, and protest the school board district. Because it seemed like the last 30 years plus, nobody didn't do shit, man.
Yeah, you're right.
From
And
when I was in school, like let me say this, brother, when I was in school in the early 70s, you know what I mean? I remember maps.
yeah,
Then they converted to these globes. You know what I mean? And basically, like I said, they teaching the same shit from the
yeah,
60s
yeah.
now.
Same garbage.
The same garbage. And
I
we
remember the
expect,
maps. They used to roll them down, right?
yes, sir, they was on
Roll the,
the chalkboard.
yep, on the chalkboard. We used to roll the maps down. Then when we did geography,
Yes, sir.
we used to learn geography.
You know
How
what I
you gonna
mean?
learn geography on a globe? You can't.
Like I said, I seen the change. I seen the worst because Philadelphia school district is man, it's bad because they shutting down. It's crazy because they shutting down all these schools and then they opening up these private schools
Yeah, and
and they and
charters.
they basically charters. So all the ones that ain't going to charter schools, they packing them in the few schools that they left standing.
Yeah,
So it's like real baffling why we didn't do nothing about this 10, 15, 20 years ago, man. You got it.
yeah. And then the teachers that did care and then tried to do the right thing, they got them out of there. Because I knew teachers in the district that I live in who were trying to teach the children right, but it was according to the curriculum. They got curriculums, and if you're not and if you're not teaching according to their curriculum, they get you out of there. I actually had brothers and sisters who were teachers, and we had an educator. His name was Mr. Dunbar. He got a lot of us, and he taught us about ourselves. He passed away about 5 years ago, but he got a lot of us in college too. Those of us who wanted to go to college, he got us in college. He got a lot of us jobs, but he made sure that you knew who you were. And he founded his own school that was he taught us about us. But he was also in the school district. Most of the brothers and sisters who was teaching us correctly, they straight up fired them. They made it bad for them too. They made their stay uncomfortable, and they got rid of them. And the district I grew up in, we didn't even have that many white students. I think I went to school with probably 3 white people in my whole entire life. Well, public school. When I went to John Jay, I was with some white people. That's in New York. But when I was going to public school, I think my whole entire public school education, probably 3 white people. But the education they made sure the education was inferior as hell. Yeah, we need to protest these board of educations, the districts, and let them know the curriculum is not good for our children. And have somebody who's of our best interest come in and draw up a curriculum that's going to be beneficial to our kids. That's it. And we need to curtail it and look at it, not have them use a trick bag. Okay, we drew up another curriculum. Because just imagine, the education is culturally biased. Certain things we won't even know about because it's not our life. That's not our life experience. But they put a culturally biased education in our children's in our communities. You can't talk about grass and certain things that's in certain communities if you live in the projects. You can't talk about certain things that we haven't experienced that somebody else's experience. But they'll put that, even the math, the history, all of it, culturally biased. I say learn everything, but the first thing you should learn is about yourself. But they don't teach our children about ourselves. If they're not miseducating our children, they're mistreating our children. One or the other.
You know, I say miseducation because, like, they're telling her like a lot of lies. Like you said earlier, they teaching that we were slaves. Then they come in with the I forget the movement that you just said. This
Civil rights.
Civil rights movement. Yes, sir. And like I said, they got our kids. We seeing that all it is regurgitating because, like I said, they teaching the same curriculum year after year after year, and a lot of them is either multiple choice questions, you know, A, B, C, or D.
Yeah.
You know, or yes or no.
And then they don't have to really think when it comes to that because it's not in context.
Exactly.
Not in context when you got it when it's multiple choice. That's not learning. Yeah. But a lot of people don't have a problem because they push their children through. They want their children to go through and get what they have to America has to offer, and it's really nothing.
Yeah, we were basically sold the American dream: go to school, go to college, and find a good job. You know, instead of go to school, get an education, and work for yourself or create your own business.
Yeah, but look how many of us did that without this so-called education. So that lets you know something about the education, right?
Yes, sir.
If someone can go and do this without their education. You said the American dream. That was absolutely correct. They sell us on a dream. What do you have to do in order to dream unless you're daydreaming? You gotta sleep, right?
So go to sleep. Stay asleep.
They're actually selling us on a dream. And as you said, it never changed. We've been out of school for almost 40 years, bro.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying? We've been out of school.
Changed.
We've been out of school almost 40 years. Nothing changed since then. Nothing changed since then.
Same book, same old. They just keep bringing the same old books back. Not up.
McGraw-Hill, right? The same book company, McGraw-Hill.
Yes.
The books that all over the nation teaching us the same nonsense.
And I'm gonna say this, my brother. It's a little off topic, but it's not off topic. You know, they using the TV with these cartoons to mind program our children also.
Oh, that's not off topic at all. That's not off topic at all. That's right on topic.
You know, they starting them with their young with those cartoons. You know, they got gay. You know what I mean? Alphabet crew in them too. I'm trying to be careful with my words. You know what I mean? They got that stuff in them Transformers and those cartoons too.
Yeah, I think some new movie that came out. They got a black lesbian couple in one of the new movies. I forgot what's the name of the new movie. It's a cartoon. And
And go ahead, brother.
John, you go ahead. You got it.
Now I was gonna say, and also, Walt Disney. Why are they still in business, man?
Yeah, that's a good question. They've
Why?
been
Go ahead, brother.
They've been pedophiles for a long time.
For a long time, and they just, I heard about it last year. About 30-something kids got kidnapped at that job. Why is it still open? Why are we allowing it open? Why the system haven't shut it down? Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, you're right. And I was shown a lot of you have to be we have to be more like symbol lyric and watch the optical illusion of optics on these cartoons. And as a child, you're seeing it as funny. But I watch some of these cartoons, they got all kinds of sex and homosexuality in the sex act. See, a sex act is wrong in the eyes of a children, no matter what way it's going. But it's really wrong when it's that.
And they started with, like I said, back with our generation.
Exactly. Sesame Street. Bert and Ernie. I mean, they've never seen no women in their life.
Yeah.
Neither one of them went on a date or had a girl.
Exactly.
And those Walt Disney cartoons, and I think it is Walt Disney. It's a Walt Disney. They start off drawing a sex organ first, and they draw around it. One of those companies. They start when they draw the cartoons. They draw a sex organ first, and they draw around it to create the cartoon. I'm going to find it, and I'm going to send it to you. A few years ago, I seen that. I think it is Walt Disney. So it was a lot of, sex. And they put it, you can't even watch a commercial today without them putting an agenda out there. Okay, Real Lamar, thank you. It's Disney. It was Disney. Yeah, Walt Disney. Yeah.
Yeah, the one we were just talking about.
Yeah,
Shout out to my brother Rel Lamar. Much respect, brother.
Yeah, exactly. They draw a sex organ first, and then they draw around it to create the cartoon character. See, our children, sometimes they see more than what we see because of their innocence and their brand new eyes too.
And I was going to say their imagination, because when you're young, your imagination is the wildest or the freest.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But that's, the television, we need to we need to pay attention and stop putting our children in front of the television to get them out of our hair. And that's what most of us do. We'll get our child out of our hair and just sit them in front of the television and let that teach our children what they, are mislearning or learning. It's not good. I mean, come on, what's that, South Park? You don't want your child watching that. I'll watch a few episodes of South Park. What's that, Family Guy and the other cartoons, even The Simpsons. You don't want your child watching that.
Yeah, you took the words right out my mouth, brother. Go ahead, my bad.
Nah, you're good. That's the longest running show, right? Simpsons been on since the 80s.
Yes, sir.
For some reason, they keep it on because nobody is putting pressure on them. And that's when those of us who care come in. We gotta let them know these are our children. These are ours. It's utterly ridiculous.
You know, and we got those on YouTube, on these YouTube streets, is pushing it. You know what I mean? They pushing the education, but they ain't pushing for the upgrade of the education. You know,
Yeah,
that's what kills me, and those are the people I try to, stay away, because I don't got no love for you. I got straight hate for you, because you ain't sympathizing with the next generation. You know, we see all the damages that they're doing, but you can't see it, so I can't sympathize with you. I'm not being friends to someone that I know is still pushing the system's agenda.
exactly. Now, you can see the results by the product, right? From what they're being taught from the product, which is the child. And you telling me our children are being taught right in these schools? No, they're not. And I agree with you. You're teaching the same old saying just to get a paycheck, even if you're not getting paid. You shouldn't be teaching our children the same old saying. Throw those, I mean, you said throw the books away. Certain books need to be thrown away. I agree with that. Now, I say I'm a book reader because in order for me to go to battle, I would have to at least know who I'm dealing with and how people are going to come. You know what I'm saying? That's why I read anything. So when they come to me with those lies, I could check them about those lies. That's me because I know and understand already. But for somebody who don't know and understand, you can't teach them that. Some of the things that I read and I see in a book, I know I can't teach because it's not good to our children. I know it. I understand it, but I will never teach it to my child because it's not good. It's just that I read certain things because I want to be able to check the bullshit when somebody come to our child, try to teach our child bullshit, and then we can just look. I read that. You might well take that somewhere else, not our children. We're not teaching our children that. We're not teaching our children that, okay, there's a sky daddy. There's a heaven in the sky. We're not teaching our children that. No. We're not teaching our children a dead religion. We're not. Certain things not allowed in certain communities. We're the only people who allow people to come in our communities where we're at, miseducate them, mistreat them, set up businesses, and take the money outside our communities into their communities, sell us inferior products. We're the only people that allow that. They'll come open up a supermarket in our community and sell us bad food, and we let it go down. The brother said something that was real. It was funny because I think it was Sir Drop. He's funny to me because he has a real comedic style, but he drops some gems when he do it. I believe he said he never bought a do-rag from one of us. It's always somebody else teaching us, clothing us, feeding us, and policing us. Somebody feel like they always got to be in charge over us. And no one should be in charge over your child except you. But they want to come and actually take our children from us and tell us that your child's going to learn this and there's nothing you can do about it. And if you say anything about your child learning what you don't want your child to learn, they say you are a hater. It's all about standing strong. When someone fights you on what you're trying to teach your child, what you don't want your child to learn, Just got to stand strong. Don't give in. And then you get a like minds to come in with you. Like, look, no. I was taught a long time ago to just read and not just study for a test. Study to get the knowledge. And that's all they do is prepare you for a test that is never in context. And even when they're testing you, like you said earlier, it's a multiple choice. It's not in context when you got a multiple choice because somebody can always guess and get the right answer. And they pass without knowing. That's the curriculum that's not good for our children. Now, I remember a study done by Jawanza Kanjufu back in the late 80s dealing with who is the influences of a child. And back when we were growing up, the number one influence, correct me if I'm wrong, big dog, the number one influence when I was growing up was the parents. It was a parent.
Yes, sir. You're on point.
It was the parents, the teacher, the church, and then each other in that order. And then as time progressed and time went by, parents lost control over their children. And really now, teachers trying to come up and be a bigger influence on children with the wrong thing though. But for the past 25, 30 years, the number one influence on young people it's young people, really. Number one influence on young people today is young people.
And let me say this, the rich don't send their kids to schools. They homeschool. Or they send them to private schools.
Another fact, they'll have someone come to their home and teach them. That's another fact. Yet, someone who's not wealthy can give their child the same kind of education if they just, did it. And the fact that some of us don't have the means to do it is the wrong reason for them to not have it. I remember, the movie Richie Rich. That's right, Chris. Richie Rich, and the series that's our time. We were like teens when it came out. Silver Spoons. Remember Silver Spoons? With Ricky Schroeder, Alfonso Ribeiro. He was a rich kid, and his father had him learning in a at home, even all the way up to Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. They went to a school, but it was a private school. Getting what they think is a superior education. If you get an education that you deem superior and you don't know, with all your learning, if you don't know who you are, all the way through your education, you haven't learned anything. Just imagine. Will Smith came from Philly, right? And
Yes, sir. West Philly.
he came from Philly. I'm just gonna go with I know it's
Yeah,
fictitious,
West
but
Philly to be Pacific.
yeah, I know it's fictitious, but it dealt with his real life. I know the series is fictitious, but it dealt with his real life. He came from West Philly. If he didn't have the West Philly background and roots, he probably would have ended up like Carlton. He knew who he was before he went to Bel Air. That's why he was a standout. See, Carlton was indoctrinated with the American dream, as you said earlier. Will wasn't, but they tried to indoctrinate him. Remember the first episode, if you can remember, where he came there just being himself and his uncle was pissed off because he thought he was clowning him, but he was just being himself. I thought it was a little over the top ignorance, but that's what happened. Because, 1 second, brother. It was over the top ignorance, but he wanted him to be like his son. Theo, the great white way. Because, it's been taught to us that white is right, and the way they just like when the brother went up and slapped Chris Rock on stage. Though it was unprofessional, I just don't like the fact that the narrative that people use, that we got to behave a certain way around white people. I don't like that narrative. When they start saying he did that in front of all those white people, like we have to behave a certain way.
And wasn't Uncle Phil a lawyer?
Yeah, he was a lawyer who became a judge. But that's what they do to us, though. And that's what they're trying to do to our children. And that's what they're doing to those of us who allow them. And your child is an extension of you. And they live through you. We got to leave. We got to go. If things happen in natural order, we got to go, right? And if you're going to leave, it's better to leave your child with your mind. Because you see when parents go early, what it does to a child. What they say, a motherless child have a hard life because they wasn't taught by the person who really, really loved them. See, my children grew up in the American school system, but I was on it. And not only that, some of the teachers that I knew personally that I went to school with, they was quick to call me. Quick. But if I knew what I know now, I'd have did things different. But if you're constantly in your children's ear and you're giving them, you send them to school to get what they have to offer in the schools. But you can't be lazy to just allow your child to go to their school and don't question them and ask them what they learn. And then if it's not according to what you want them to learn, then you have to check it. Because I know when I speak to my children, I speak to them, okay, they're teaching you this, but this is how it really is. Go ahead on and pass the grade, but this is how it really is. But if they ever question you, I'm not going to punish you for challenging them. I would never punish my child for challenging a lie. If they tell you somebody discovered this land with a whole nation of people already here, challenge it. How can you discover something that's already here? In order for you to discover, it has to be covered, right? It's not covered. Discover means something covered. You take the cover off it. That's discovering something. I was just sent the video of Biden saying that they're planning for, they need money. They're planning for a new pandemic, another pandemic. They're planning for it. And he used the word planning. His words is just, I'll see if I can find it.
You know, and they called the first one that. You know what I mean? But our people, you know, they don't listen. They called the first one a pandemic.
It's a pandemic. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But when you use the word pandemic, they're trying to say that you are giving misinformation. How is it misinformation?
But the man called it. The president called it. It's same thing itself. He called it. So why it ain't misinformation? Why he's doing it?
Exactly. But how he put it was that they was asking him in the press conference about the funding. He said we need more funding to plan for the other pandemic because another pandemic is coming. When you plan for something, that means, you're making it happen. See, these people are diabolical and they don't want nobody talking about it. They put you on some type of list if you start talking about it. But they want money to plan it. And if I know when you prepare for something, you know it's coming, right? But when you plan for something, you're involved in the planning. I know what planning is. And as far as with the wordplay, with the words that Biden is using, it's a plandemic. It's not a pandemic, it's a plandemic. That means they're doing this. And then they want funding for the vaccines to actually see what it basically is doing. They're trying to have virus after virus after virus. And I know for certain that some of these people are just having the flu and they just tell them that they got that shit. I know that. Because, I was diagnosed with it, with COVID on my birthday, my last birthday. I didn't feel how other people said they feel. I felt like I had the flu. I stayed home, got taken care of, went back to work. Everybody, so when you doing this, I mean, I think I'm probably about three of us in my whole entire job who don't have the jab. I told them, don't ask me no more. If you don't want a problem with me, don't ask me no more. You're not getting the vaccine? I said, no, and don't ask me again. We're going to have a problem. I'm not taking nobody's vaccine, nobody's booster, nobody's, none of that. And none of my family members have it. No. Not my immediate family, my children, my wife, no. I don't know about cousins and all that. I don't know about that, but no. Told them, hell no. Doing all that fear mongering, talking about black people as disproportionately affected with the virus. And how would they know that without it being around long enough to determine that? They were saying that from the beginning. Correct me if I'm wrong. They were saying we were disproportionately affected by the virus from the very beginning, like it's been going on for the longest. And then they had dumb Negroes repeating it. People who they think that they can control us through, like entertainers.
And they also was pushing that we take it first. They was pushing that agenda also.
Exactly. And since when do they give us something that's of value before they give it to themselves? They want us to take it first. You know, they always experimented on us to benefit themselves. You know how they did with our women. They always think that our bodies belong to science. They always did it. They always did that. Think that our bodies belong to science, that they can experiment on us for their own benefit. You know the history, the Skeety, when they allowed the brothers to walk around with syphilis and see how long they can live without getting treated, and allowed them to take it home to their wives, told them they was treating them, but they was actually giving it to them. And it's not, you know, you got to be wicked to tell somebody to trust you, knowing you are untrustworthy. And get mad because you know you untrustworthy, and you mad because people don't trust you. No, you can't be trusted, but you mad people don't trust you.
And my brother, dig this. You know, our people, our memories are so short. They act like they don't remember that. That's the part that kills me. They came out with it 20 years later, but they came out with it and told the people what they were doing, and our people still like, okay. It's just sad, man.
It wasn't even that long ago. And they act like it didn't happen. Now, somebody put it right in your face, and and you know what's going on. And then you have the ignorant among us will get mad. People have actually gotten mad and called people names because they decided that they wasn't gonna, I'm not gonna trust it. Some of us just say, I'm not gonna trust it. I'm one of them. And I know for a fact you are, because you stress it so many times. I'm just not going to trust nothing they say.
Yeah, I've been against this since 2015 when I lost my daughter to it, and I watched them cover it up, brother.
Yeah.
They blamed it on me and my wife genes instead of the side effect of that jab.
Nonsense.
You know what I mean? And that was the last stand. You know, I stopped trusting the doctors. You know, all of them.
Yeah, I hear you.
You know what I mean? I tried to sue the pharmaceutical companies for like 6 straight years. They just covered it up, man, and they're still covering it up.
Yeah, what they do. Can you imagine? They throwing people in body bags still alive. I've seen this. Telling people their grandmother dead, but she's in the bag. She died in the bag. Can you imagine that? They're telling people their loved one died of COVID, and certain people, they go to the hospital for one thing. Now, I lost a sister-in-law. They said she had it, but from my understanding, my nephew told me that his mother always went for asthma. She had bad asthma. He said, but what they were doing, they wouldn't allow you to come and see your loved one to check what they're doing to them. They took advantage of this. They took advantage of it, of not letting people in these hospitals. And I honestly believe they did something to my mother. I do. Because for a long time, by the time I was actually able to go in the hospital to see my mother, she was in bad shape. Wasn't watching her. Wouldn't allow us in. Got to look at her through a window. I was there every day, but I don't know what they're doing when I leave. And I think they did something to my mother.
Yeah, my condolences, my brother.
You know, one of these jokers, man. Peace, brother Chris.
What up? What up? What's going on, everybody? What's going on, family? Everybody in the chat.
Was good.
They actually took my mother, the manager of the facility my mother was in. I already told my brothers it's on site if I ever see him. Actually took my mother's phone because we were calling her or making sure they were doing what they were supposed to do by her. He actually took my mother's cell phone so we couldn't call her. And then we were restricted from entering the facilities. Wow, you know, can you imagine you're not being able to hug your mother and see your mother all that time from the time it started? Like, I had just brought my mother back to New Jersey. She was down in Greensboro, North Carolina. My brothers and I brought her back up here in February. By March, that thing was in full effect. And they started closing down facilities. She had a problem with her what you call them, mobile skills, her motor skills. So we put her in a rehab. That right. And they started closing down facilities and not allowing people in the facilities. And they were taking advantage of people not being allowed in the facilities, and they were neglecting their duties. They were neglecting everything. And I honestly believe that it was how my mother got gangrene was neglect. They dropped her and they didn't treat her because they dropped her when they was transporting her to getting her dialysis. And her leg got a laceration in it. And when you have diabetes and all that, you can't get no type of wounds. And I'm bringing her all kinds of creams. I'm bringing her because she keep telling me her leg hurt, her feet hurt. I'm bringing all kind of stuff. I'm telling doctors put this on her, put that on her. And if she's getting dialysis, getting her blood checked, her doctor should know if she has any type of infection by checking her every day. You do dialysis 3 times a week, you're getting blood tests. And by the time they found that out, they're telling me they got to cut a leg off. So you know I'm bugging. 2 weeks later, she was gone.
Sorry to hear that, bro.
So you know, I wanted to go up in there and kill somebody. Yeah, but you know, back to the subject. You know, my brother Chris is here, join the
Yeah.
bill, and you know, we were talking about America's schools making our children soft targets, being the killing fields for our children. You know it is.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, I like to piggyback a little bit off that Richie Rich movie. Because rich people don't send their kids to those type of schools or schools in public schools.
Yeah.
They're either in private or getting taught private. Not just that, you know, in the movie, they don't have bank accounts, they have vaults. And not just that one main thing that fucked my head up. Because the movie came out a while ago, you know, I was young. They didn't want him playing with other kids in other neighborhoods.
Wow.
They didn't want him talking to them, making friends, or anything. And this shit is still going on to this day.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm. That's why the motherfuckers don't know anything about anything. And always talking out their eyes. You know. That's why the motherfuckers.
That's a fact.
But yeah, I say take y'all kids out them so quote unquote public schools. They're not learning anything. They're not even teaching the children about hair. We can literally walk. Us can literally walk in any school and teach the children more about this land than any teacher at this point.
I absolutely believe that.
And let me say this, you know, because they're teaching the kids this critical race theory now, and that's just to cover up their lie that they continuously, you know, lying. You know, so they teaching this in the school system also. Instead of telling the truth, they covering up their lie even harder.
Well, in all actuality, they don't want it taught. They don't want to see Caucasians have a problem with critical race theory because the who they're being critical on is them. They don't want it being taught. See, because what they're doing now is they have a problem with, they think they have race replacement theory on their minds. They think they're being replaced. And when you start teaching what I hear brothers teaching on your platform, Chris, and on your platform, Big Dog, that's critical race theory because it's being critical of them. That's why they don't want to be taught, because they don't want their children to know. They don't want their children to know the truth about them, America's wicked, violent history. They don't want their children to know that. We don't want our children feeling guilty. We don't want our children feeling bad about. No, if it's true of what you did, if you're a wicked murderer, why shouldn't I be able to say that? Because the critical race theory, who is critical on is them. Nothing but American history. That's all it is. When you start talking about, okay, those of us, I know for a fact that everybody didn't come here. Some of us were already here. And it's stupid to suggest that every one of us melanated people came from somewhere else. Nonsense. We were everywhere on this planet. But they don't want our children to know that wherever you go on this planet are people there. They want us to believe we came from one place. And that's not true. And then people yelling, Africa, Africa, Africa. Africa was named before all of these places were what they call today. There was something else first, and somebody came and named it after it was called something else. Which is why I don't get into it, because before it was called, Before we was called black, we were called indigenous. Before we was called indigenous, we was called so many different things. We just got to pick and choose what we're gonna be, which is why that's stagnated to me. So I don't even get into that. When I look at Chris, that's my brother. When I look at Big Dog, that's my brother. That's it. Because they are like minds. Everybody I look at that look like me is not my brother because he can be a damn coon.
Right.
I'll watch you on a protracted period and make the determination whether or not you are my brother. Now, I know I'm not a this deep scholastic brother, but I know some things because I lived. Like I said earlier, our light is inside us that we bring out when we teach in our righteousness. We have melanated skin that's dark. Their light is on the outside of them, and their wickedness is their darkness. They got dark, cold, dark hearts, dark spirits. They're the very opposite of us. But some people don't want to hear that these people are wicked devils. They don't want to hear that because some people don't believe that they're as wicked as they are until they encounter them and they fall a victim to them. That's when they start believing it. Even when it comes to our children, what kind of grown man feel that he has to body slam a 70 something pound little boy and he's over 200 pounds? He got to slam him because he in school cutting up. Grown men, and they do it to little girls. When a child is cutting up in school, that's not a police issue. That's a dean issue, vice principal issue, guidance counselor issue. And if all those three don't work, inconvenience the parent. Bring the parent to the school. And not only that, get to the bottom of it. Sometimes we need to stop talking and listen to the child, ask the child what's going on. Let the child vent. Because you never know what's going on in the child's world and life.
Teachers be lying like a bitch.
Yeah, they lie. And they do what the brothers say. Want to declassify them and classify them as being bad when they're not.
Mm-hmm.
Speed your ass up to their child's level. You're the teacher. They wanted to give my son Ritalin. I said, you're crazy as hell. You're going to speed your ass up and earn this 70 grand a year teaching.
Right.
You're going to earn it. Not giving my child no drugs or slow him down, have him walking around like a zombie because he's behaving like a boy. He's a boy. I see a child just sitting till he's 5, 6 years old. Something wrong with him to me. Supposed to get up, run around.
Yep, the same stuff they teaching the kids, you could buy at the store. They doing tracing books and coloring books and drawing pictures and stuff. You could do that to your kids until middle school. What the fuck?
Yeah, you connect the 1 to the 2, 2 to the 3, the 3 to the 4, and you draw a house.
Yeah, they got all these fucking type of books up. They need to learn math and all this. They got them too. Motherfuckers need to put more time into their damn family and home, these goddamn businesses and shit. You know what I'm saying? I mean, get your money, do what you need, but shit, like, pay attention to your goddamn kids and stop substituting that goddamn job and letting that motherfucking goddamn school raise your goddamn kids.
Yeah, because that's the heir to your kingdom.
Your throne, goddamn it.
You don't want your kingdom to fall. You gotta have an up and coming prince or princess, right?
Facts.
Like when I was growing up, we had videos that used to come on. I know brother Philly knows this because it's at his time too. On Saturday morning, you probably know too, Chris, because they used to do it every once in a while in the 80s and 90s. On Channel 7, they had that Schoolhouse Rock.
Yeah, ain't that like when they used to be like the PBS, one of the PBS channels and shit?
Yes,
come on there.
On Channel 7, they had Schoolhouse Rock. They used to have like Science Rock, History Rock, Conjunction Junction, What's Your Function, all that stuff.
They had then after a while the Bill Nye shit start coming on, the Bill Nye Science Guy and all that shit.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Teaching you about what a noun is, what a verb is, and unpack your adjectives. We used to have stuff like that came on. I knew all that.
Yep.
When I went to school. When I went to school, I knew all that. And the teacher was looking at me, Saturday mornings. Only thing I had to get right was the history. The history was incorrect, but as far as like what a noun is, adjective, a synonym, antonym, I knew all this from watching that.
That's all we need. Goddamn history ain't no goddamn fucking subject. Fuck that bullshit.
No.
Fucking damn. Get that.
History is heritage and lineage. That's what it is.
And you're supposed to know that from home.
Yeah, I mean, who better from any of our children to get our history from is just talking to daddy.
Right. Or granddad.
Or granddad, grandma and granddad. Like I said, I know who my grandmother's grandfather was.
Yep.
My grandmother was born 1915. And that means her father was born in the 1800s. And if her grandfather, he was way back then. My cousin got a picture of him sitting on a damn, the horse and carriage.
Yeah.
And my grandmother looked just like him. My father's great grandfather. He's a McCall. And I know who my grandfather's parents are on my dad's side. On his father's side, my dad's father's side, I know who he was too by name. Just gotta ask. You guys just gotta ask because my aunt just passed away in January. She had all the pictures, and she knew all the history. She was the last of my father's whole entire generation. She was the last one, and she went in January. She had all the history, and I used to talk to her a lot just about our family. And I used to just write stuff down. I got it all written down of who our family is and our heritage and who they are. I mean, I got an aunt down there in Sylvester, Georgia. I told my brother, I said, we got to go down south and claim our land because Aunt Ernestine, she got a lot of land down there in Sylvester, Georgia. Creeks and all kind of stuff down in Georgia. We got to go down there and claim it or we're going to lose it. You know how people are. They go and discover stuff.
They discover the uncovered.
Look what we found. You know what I'm saying? That's what they do. I go down there and claim that land. We used to go down there every summer. So we're gonna have to take a flight to Georgia.
Yep.
That's what you know. Who made me think of that? Big Dog. When he talk about the land his family got. So now we got land down there too.
Yep. Got land in South Carolina as well. My family still.
How many acres you said your family have, Big Dog?
Between 100 and 150
Man,
acres.
That's like
I didn't show videos on Chris'
Yeah, he did.
channel.
He
I need
did.
to see. Bro, when you get a chance, I need to see that, bro. That's beautiful to even hear.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a stream next week. I'm gonna go to my family land and do a stream.
That's beautiful to even hear that your family got that much land. That's like y'all can establish your own damn city, little borough.
And like I always say, the cops don't come through our land unless we call.
Yep.
And also, you know, this land has been in my family since the late 1700s.
That's beautiful, brother.
Oh, yeah.
That's I love hearing that. I love hearing that.
Yes, sir. Like I said, I'm gonna do a video next week. I'm gonna drive over there and just show all of, you know, all the houses and all the families. I might go through a couple of the family houses, talk to them.
That's inspiring.
Oh yeah, please.
That is inspiring, bro. To know the family got that much land that they own, that's inspiring.
Yep, it is.
I don't know if we got that much, but I know, you know, our stuff is bigger when you smaller.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You go back to your old school, that's little shit. It's big.
10 acres is a nice amount of land. 20 acres is a nice amount of land.
I know that my aunt
more.
had more than that. I know my aunt had more than that.
My family got about 9 acres in South Carolina.
But to have over 100 acres, that right there is inspiring. To hear a brother say that and then gonna show it. Oh, that's I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Yeah, I get some crop dusters, man, and just plant something over there, boy. Y'all get paid.
That part.
Well, you know, that's wealth altogether, you know, just owning it by itself. But you can make more, but owning it is wealth. Generational wealth.
Yep. And they own the land. They just pay property tax.
Mm-hmm.
Or the taxes for the house that the city gives. But other than that, they own the land outright. It's inherited to the next generation, the next generation, the next generation.
Yep.
Somebody just claimed their land.
Nobody can sell nothing. Go ahead, brother.
Somebody claimed their land somewhere. I forgot where it was. Forgot where it was. Some type of park or something. Some you know, some of our people, and they won, and they had to give it to them.
Yeah, it was recent.
It was recent. They took them to court, and they won. They had to give them their land back.
I think it was that California beach properties.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a beach
California beach property. Yep. Yes, sir. I heard about it.
They went down there and they petitioned the court, and they won. They had to give it up, and that's a resort area too, so you know they're gonna get paid. That's a resort area. You know, most of us who, if we were to look, we could find out that we owned something was, you know, when they do this eminent domain and stuff, because I remember in Piscataway, New Jersey, these people owned a farm, and they so wicked in New Jersey, they'll send people down, city inspectors, to commit eminent domain, condemn your land, saying it's not being taken care of just to take it over. I've seen it done. And some of us, we just don't fight hard enough. Something like that is worth it when it comes to your land. Then you people have gone to war over their land. But I love hearing that. And that's a good lesson that will inspire our children too, to see that, to let our children know, and that will inspire our children to actually go out and buy land and show a child that, okay, this is. I know you, Big Dog. Have you ever taken your daughter to that land?
Yes, sir, all the time.
Oh,
Like
I
I
know.
said,
I know.
I got like shit, 6 or 7 aunts, 5 or 6 uncles that live on the land. Me and my wife stay a distance because they religious, but they love seeing us over there.
So I know, your little girl seeing that is like, it's inspiring, and she can see, okay, what you can actually do, what you can accomplish by seeing your
Yeah,
family with it.
we got a barbecue area, we got a pond. We got a building for entertainment. You can throw parties there on the
That's
land.
that's fly.
Got a barbecue area. Like I said, they got a little kids area. It's real nice.
I used to love going down to Georgia and fishing on my aunt's land, going fishing. And we used to have to walk so far to the creek, and we were still on her land. We walking like 10 minutes and 15 minutes, and we still on her land. It's just open. It's just wide open too,
Hmm.
and she owned it. Told my brother we gotta go reclaim it.
And that's why, like, I don't understand some of that slave story. How could we been slaves, but we own land?
You own land from the 1700s into the 1800s. You know, I'm not gonna say some of us wasn't. I don't know. I wasn't here back then, but your story is just like I said, it's inspiring to hear that your family had their land for that many years. It's just that's a good thing. I'm not gonna say it's incredible, because to say it's incredible means that you're surprised that you own it. No, it's just inspiring to know somebody have that. It's in particular one of ours that makes you want to do something. And I know a lot of people who said they have land. They showed land that's been in their family for a long time. So I agree with you when it comes to the slave narrative. But at the same time, I always say something happened to us with some of our mentality. I don't know.
Hmm.
Something happened with the way some of us act. Something happened. Maybe it happened to them. I don't know. Maybe it's in their DNA.
Right.
Not necessarily everybody.
Shit, I went on Google Maps and I showed my family land. Still there to the day.
But some of our mentality is just, you know, it's just capitulating.
Mhm.
There's some of our mentality, but some of us, got that. I love the rebel spirit. I like that rebellious rebel spirit. When a brother say, I anthem, big
Mhm.
dog, I anthem. You put the song on every time you do a stream.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's our anthem. You guys say this. You guys say all rise for the anthem when you play that. That's our anthem. Put your fist in the air.
I got you, my brother.
Start the show off like they do at the games. All rise for the anthem. That's what we saying to all those who impose our growth. We try to stand away in our growth. F you. See, that's a part of teaching our children our story, history. When you see the land like that, because when they teach our children about history, what are they teaching our children?
That we was at the bottom. We was
Exactly.
slaves. We didn't own shit.
Exactly.
We came from Africa.
We took a beating and didn't fight back.
Right. And discovered a new land that was never covered.
Exactly. How you gonna discover something that's never covered? You got a whole nation full of people living here already. How? Just like when they say that, like people. I asked the average person, who's in their 30s without knowledge, who started doing the moonwalk first. First thing they say is Michael Jackson.
Jackson.
I said, just the first thing they'll say is Michael Jackson. I said, no, Michael Jackson was taught how to do the moonwalk. They'll say Michael Jackson. Why? Because that's what the propaganda machine put out there.
Yeah.
Because that's the first time they seen it. When he did the 25th anniversary of Motown, it's the first time they seen it. But Brother's been doing that for years. By the time he started doing it, Brother had stopped doing it when he started doing it. But it's the first time they seen it, so they discovered it. What I'm trying to say is they discovered things that's already here. It's not discovered until they see it. Like America. You coming here trying to steal land and somebody fighting you and beating your ass. How you discover somebody beating your ass because you're trying to take it? Makes no sense. But that's what they teach our children. And our children get indoctrinated with that. And to add insult to injury, they say they freed us too. To hear some of them say that they freed us is an insult. And then makes matters worse is the origin of, law enforcement, police, sheriff. People don't realize that sheriff is the original law enforcement, not police. Because the word sheriff, sharif, means the law.
The law.
They took that from sharif.
Mm-hmm. So I always had them motherfuckers in them old Western movies. I'm the sheriff of the town. Nigga, everybody was the sheriff of the motherfucking town, nigga.
Yeah. Yes, that's a fact. That's a fact. Oh, dirty dude.
Wow.
Dirty dude with a 6-shooter.
Right. All bow-legged and shit.
Gun down to his knees.
Old bottom lip and top lip full of dip.
Yep.
Nasty ass shit.
Dying of lung cancer. Because he got straight tobacco in his mouth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-mm-mm.
Yes, sir.
I never want to be a European. I'm sorry. I don't want to be.
I am. I won't want to be nothing else, brother.
Right.
Nothing else, because you got other ones. You got other ones. Other people that, I was telling. I forgot who I was speaking to. I said, some of the Hispanics, even the ones who look like us,
Mm-hmm.
They could be darker than we are, but they look on their senses or on their I forgot what you call it, their senses and everything. They'll put down white.
Yeah.
They put down white, and the reason why they do that is because they're like the ones who would want to get on a winning team instead of making your team a winning team.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They'll get on any team that's winning. That's
Mm-hmm.
their mentality. They'll join any team that's winning that they feel is winning anyway. That's
I
what
just want to say this real quick, my brother. The worst thing we did was allow the people to indoctrinate and educate our children, man. I'm going to keep saying that. That was the worst thing we could have ever done. Because look at it, 60 years later,
yeah.
and the horrors that we're hearing. You know, the worst thing we could have done is allowed our kids in their school system.
Shit. I'm with you there. I say the second, well, I just say, my opinion, the worst thing we let these motherfuckers do was fucking come over here, period.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you, brother.
Yeah, you know, you see that was a mistake we made being trusting people.
Being too nice and shit.
Being too nice and inclusive. We
was
trust
living in, hey, but it's crazy how motherfuckers be talking about living in harmony. Weren't we the ones living in harmony if we had to be that nice to motherfuckers and clothe motherfuckers and teach them how to grow crops and wipe their ass and all this other bullshit? Like,
their fires was too big. They know how to cook. They know how to bury their dead. They know how to do nothing. They didn't know how to do nothing until we taught them.
They know how to eat each other.
That's
we
it.
stopped them from eating each other, and apparently some of them still got that damn gene to this day, which I apparently
yeah.
But you know,
but you're right though,
mm-hmm.
because your enemy shouldn't be teaching you, and your enemy shouldn't be teaching your children. That's just backwards to me, because a man that don't treat you right not gonna teach you right.
That part.
Should never be. We should have never allowed. Your brother is correct. You should never allow our enemy to teach our babies.
Yeah,
and that's why we're in the situation we're in. Because, like I said, 50 years later, they teaching the kids to go against the parents.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
They're teaching us.
Like we talked about earlier.
Exactly.
Yep.
You don't have to tell your parent.
Facts.
Forget your parent. You don't even have to tell your parent what we're doing. That's a teacher saying it to the student, to our children. You don't have to tell your parent. And if your parent coming into school blacking out, they call the police saying they're being disruptive. But you indoctrinated somebody's child, actually abusing somebody's child. But it's going to have to come to that. Those who want to fight, like the brother said, he'll support their efforts, but you got to want to fight. Now, if Chris told me, Brother Nasir, I need you to help me move, and I came to Chris' house and I started moving stuff, and Chris is sitting at the kitchen table getting his grub on. I'm struggling with a couch and everything. He don't grab the other end. I'm not helping him move. I'm moving him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But what I'm trying to say is, if I'm supporting your efforts, if I'm helping you, I will help you in your fight if you decide to fight. I'm not going to fight for you. But I'll bail you. I'll shoot you some bail. Because, you know, I have grandchildren who are at a school age. I always tell her to call me. Call her, call me. Tell my granddaughters, call me. Grandsons, call me. It's a problem. If it's a problem, call me. I'm on my way. And that's how we have to be. We have to let our children know that we are accessible and we will be there instantaneously if they're needed. And it's really dependent on the parent, though.
Right.
It's dependent on the parent, because if you're a parent who just neglectful, your child gonna get all that bullshit in that school district. It depends on the parent. If the parent, like, some of us would just pull our children out, but some of our children would grab their child's schoolwork, and look at it. And some of us teach our children outside the school because we can't afford to, like the brother said earlier, pull our children out the school. So therefore you have to be attentive with your child and what they're learning. All of us can't pull our children out. Like the brother said earlier, those of us who got to have our children in that school, we got to change the curriculum. We don't want our children learning this, especially when it comes to that indoctrination on the far as the history and the sexuality. We really gotta step up when it comes to that. They gotta know who they are, and they gotta know who they not gonna down be, and what they're not gonna down be. As far as them sexualizing our babies, anybody who's standing around and allow their children to be sexualized and allow people to determine when their child gonna learn certain things that has nothing to do with the R's, reading, writing, arithmetic. That's when you got to say no and stand on it. But the minute somebody start calling you names, some of us just punks start calling us names. That's when we start, being ashamed of being right. Because it seems that all people have to do when somebody do something or say something that's on point, all they have to do is start calling names. And the main thing they do, they turn that to, homophobia is the new anti-Semitic. This is what homophobia is. They're not calling somebody homophobia, they call them anti-Semitic. Homophobia is the new anti-Semitic. Because when you say something against that, their agenda, they call you a homophobe. Just like when you say something against certain people, you can be telling the absolute truth and they'll say you're anti-Semitic because you're telling the truth about what they're doing, their activities. So you have to just stand around or allow people to do anything they want with your child. You just gotta go with it.
So hold on, let's break this down. So homophobe is a person that dislikes homo people.
According to what they say, anything you say, even if you say anything against what they're doing, even if it's the truth, they're going to call you a homophobe.
Oh, so that's when they changed the word phobe or phobia.
Phobia, yeah, they abbreviate it.
So they had to change it and add dislikes because a phobia is not a dislike. A fear is not about a dislike or not. Like
exactly.
You know what I'm saying, so what?
They tricky, bro. They full of trick bags. Yeah. They're full of trick bags, and it's just like when you speak about the history of some Jewish people, it can be the absolute truth. And just because, let me tell you how tricky they are and how crafty they are. You say that they run all entertainment, Hollywood, all of entertainment. Okay. They'll say they don't, knowing they do, because they want to maintain their victimhood. Because nobody with that much power can be a victim.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they say that they don't want. That's why they say they don't run Hollywood, because nobody with that much power could cancel people, take people jobs away from them in Hollywood, take people shows away from them, like they did Nick Cannon. Um, Nobody with that much power is a victim. And they'll tell you this in your face while exercising that power against you. And then they'll sit across the table from you playing victim while they're victimizing you. They do that.
All the time. All the time.
Like when Nick had the conversation with Professor Griff, he had to go on a world tour of apology.
Yeah.
A world tour. When all he did was speak the truth. And then he sat there and said, the guy he had on there, Abraham Cooper, said, you hurt our feelings and you need to have understanding. You need to learn this and learn that. Nick Cannon knew already, but he went with it because he wants to wild out.
Yeah.
Because he wants to wild out. He wants to see who's the Masked Singer is. He can't do that if he stick to his truth.
Yeah.
And it's so, how he did it was so odd. I used to see him as a stand-up guy. And that's the reason why I did a video about him and Common. You know, Common is a conscious rapper.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Cannon, I used to see him as a stand-up guy. We used to have a Cannon's class, and he used to be out, he used to be just giving the gems.
Mm-hmm.
It's the reason why we cannot have entertainers representing us.
Yep.
Can't, because when somebody pull money from them, they're gonna flip. Dude called Professor Griff.
Kevin Hart did the same thing.
Pardon me, brother?
Kevin Hart did the same thing.
Yes, he did. He called Professor Griff by his government name when he did the apology. When he did the apology to them, he called them by his government name. You know how disrespectful that is? We'll even call that man by his accolade.
Right.
And that's not representing strength. Now, how could you be a man who makes tens of millions of dollars a year and still be a punk? I mean, if you can't tell somebody to kiss your ass when you got $100 million, that means you don't have no faith in what you can do with your money.
No.
Or do they have something on you that you don't want discovered?
Something. Or they probably really was gonna kill that motherfucker.
They do that too.
Yep.
They do that too.
It was like, all right, you gonna make us give you your date now. We gonna give you a date. Clock's ticking. We gonna let you know.
BC date before Cannon. Your BC date. But they exercise their power in your face, telling you they don't have it. But the power can be taken away from them by just standing up and standing strong.
Yeah.
You know, I remember when, they asked entertainers, all the entertainers who support the NOI, do the minister pay entertainers? That's a rhetorical question because they know he don't. They do. They ask the rhetorical question: do Minister Farrakhan pay black entertainers? I'm looking at that question from this Jewish lady. I'm like, she know damn well he don't. She knows that they do. Telling him, it's like checking him. You know what I mean? Do he pay y'all? What you doing? Showing love to another man, to another black man. And I'm listening to this. I'm like, oh, you can't even support and be around who you want to be around just because you are in entertainment. Like the lady told LeBron, just dribble the ball, but she don't say that to Brett Favre. She say that to LeBron. Just dribble the ball. Shut up and dribble. And what he do? He shut up and dribble. Millions of dollars in your pocket, $100 million in your pocket. And you don't think, only thing you think to do is just to capitulate. You don't think to empower yourself. See, with that kind of money, I'll be thinking to empower myself. Big dog, what can you do with 100 million? $100 million with the land.
I could do a lot, my brother. Shit, I say Bronzy worth almost $1 billion now. He's probably worth 300 million when that happened.
Yeah,
exactly. Bought him a whole city and invest and never had to dribble a ball again.
That's what I'm saying. With all that money, they don't think to empower themselves.
It's probably in the contract.
Yeah, that's a fact too. And just like they would, the young lady who just was became a Supreme Court justice, Supreme Court judge. She's not a justice. They don't hand out justice. You see the questions they ask her? When we become, like, even when Barack Obama punk ass became president, he was asked a series of questions that they would not ask white people. Even at Ketanji Jackson, she was asked questions that they would not ask another white judge because they want to know emphatically that she's not going to do nothing for her people before they allow her. They make sure that you're not going to do nothing for your people. Remember with the Freddie Gray case down in Baltimore? When they put the brother in the van, they drove crazy in the van. He was going all over the van. He ended up dying, having his body all broken up. They put him in the back of a van. He just drove all kind of ways. He was cuffed. He wasn't secured down in the van. He ended up dying.
Oh, yeah.
When the prosecutor, who was a sister, when she stood up and she said to the people, mind you, when the prosecutor present a case to the court, what do they say? The people versus whoever the defendant is, right? Mm-hmm. When she said to the people, I heard your cries, you know what I'm saying? I feel your pain. They went after that sister, boy. They trumped up all kinds of charges because she was actually doing her job. Because regardless of who the defendant is, she's supposed to prosecute the person, even if they're cops. Mm-hmm. But that's not how they expect a prosecutor to do their job. If it's a cop, she's supposed to be in cahoots with him and try to justify what the police officer did. But she was going to prosecute them cops. They got her off the case. And in addition to getting her off the case, they trumped up a lot of charges against her. All because she was going to try to get those cops locked up for doing what they did to Freddie Gray. People say it's a double standard. No, double is more than one. That's one standard. One way.
Yep.
But if we don't educate our children correctly, that's the world they got to have. They're going to have. They're going to be living in. Had to teach them how to maneuver, how to walk in this world. And we can't teach them that it's, surfing sun. It's not. Well, I appreciate you brothers coming through.
No problem. No problem.
In our building with me.
Thanks for the invite.
And brother, Big Dog, I would love to see that land, brother. I'm just thinking about it. I mean, I remember you saying it. I remember you saying you showed it, and I was like, wow, I'd love to see something like that. Just to, get my inspiration flowing.
I'll text you when I'm gonna do the stream. It's gonna be next week, probably Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday.
Get my inspiration flowing, Not that I'm not inspired, but that stuff like that inspired me to see, my people with stuff. The young brother. Did you read the story about the young brother who I think it was down in Florida, Sanford, Florida. A young brother had a Mercedes and some white supremacists, because he was in their neighborhood, bust the windows out in his car and, threatened him, hit him with a traffic cone and everything. They got locked up, but it's just that when our people have something, people don't like to see our people with stuff. I love seeing my people with stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I love seeing my people with stuff. There's one thing I can honestly say I'm not, and that's a hater. I see my people with stuff. I love it.
That part.
Well, you brothers, do me the honors of closing out, and I'm going to end this broadcast.
All right. Great build. Appreciate having me up here. Having a great deal with y'all, my brothers. Shout out to everybody in the chat. I'm out here, family. Yeah,
much love and respect to everybody. My brother, the enemy, appreciate you letting me up. Excellent topic. Much love, grand rising, everybody. My brother,
I appreciate you coming, brother. Peace.
Yeah. Peace.
Peace to the family in the chat. Brother Charles Johnson, Bronze Flat Power God. Who else we got? Of course, my brother, Big Dog Philly OG, Rel Lamar. Who else we got here? Smoke Signal, good brother. Tinfoil, the Meta Media. Peace, good brother. Brother Godbody. Peace to all of you, and thank you for coming through. I appreciate it. Smoke Signal, I want to have you on the panel, brother. Anytime I'm doing a stream, come through. Bronze Flat Power God, brother. When I'm doing a stream, come through. You're welcome, brother. You are welcome. Tinfoil, the Meta Media, come through. Chief Crazy Overstanding. You're supposed to come through, brother. Enjoying the build. Just come through. Rel Lamar, jump on the panel, brother. Anytime I'm doing a stream, join the build. Brother Charles Johnson. Join the stream. All you brothers have good things to offer, gems to offer, and let's give it to the people. You're all welcome to come through. On that note, I say peace. This is the Enemy's Public. I am Bro.Nasir. Like, share, subscribe. Leave a comment in the comment section.